Hello, once again. My name is Fred Earls, and I am Director of Communications for New Foundations, and we are a nonprofit that works with people in several different areas. But I want to pause right there and introduce to you our CEO, Dr. Sharon Brown. Hello again, Dr. Sharon.
Hello, Dr. Fred. How are you this morning?
Doing very well, very well.
Good, good.
And you know, I, we've spent some time just so our friends know, discussing some things. But I want to ask you this simple question. Can I do that?
Sure.
Is it okay to not be okay?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Y- Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that I have learned that it is also okay to just be okay.
Okay,
Um, because I mean, I can ask people, how are they doing? They say okay. I'm like, so what's keeping you from feeling good or well? What is keeping you from feeling even better than okay?
okay,
Um, and so people will say, but is it not okay just to feel okay? And I'm like, well,
right.
yeah, it's okay to feel okay, and it's okay to feel not okay.
Okay, okay. So let's
Okay.
let's uh, do a recap here. So if you've watched our previous videos, we talked about what is mental health, and mental health is health. And how do I know if I'm having some situations where I need help? And I want to go here today with this. And we were talking about this here again. Many people don't want to go see a counselor or a therapist. And maybe I should just say that Dr. Sharon is the CEO of New Foundations, and much of her day is spent with men, women, families in counseling situations. She is a professional licensed counselor, and she is more than that. That's really the tip of the iceberg, but she is equipped to sit and listen and talk and help you, people, work through situations. But many times we don't do that. And so I kind of wanted to relay this little analogy, if I may. I'm having car problems and I go fix my car problem myself. Maybe I didn't do something right. And now I go ask somebody who knows more than me about my car problem. And then I try to fix it right the second time. And now the same thing happens like brakes. I did the brakes the other day on the car. I mean, they wear out after a while. I just don't get it. Is it okay? There is a stigmatism that people have when it comes to seeing a counselor. So spend a few minutes talking about, it is okay. But let's say someone calls, what can they expect from you, from a counselor in a counseling situation?
Right. Okay. I just kind of want to go back to your analogy just a second, Fred, and say, so we have this mentality that we can just fix anything. Um, if something breaks, we fix it.
That's right.
Sometimes we really don't know how to fix the problem correctly. And so then we have to go and ask for help. So, but what keeps us and I've dealt with a lot of people who, have they buy things and then they try to put them together themselves and they don't read the instructions. It's like the instructions are there for
Okay,
a
me.
reason. Right. I mean, and I'm guilty of that too. It's not just men, but
Okay.
I'm very guilty of that too. And so, what is it, that we do that? Why do we do that? Why is it that we just say, "Yeah, I can figure this out,"
I
and
know better. That's why I know better.
right. And we kind of talked about this a little bit last time as far as, if it's just something that comes up in the day. I talked about daily hassles last time, and that's just something that happens that day, you know, the baby's sick and so it's going to delay us from work because we got or maybe make us miss work because we don't have a babysitter to keep the baby with that while they're sick. So that's a daily hassle, and so we can figure out those problems and pretty easily. I mean, we kind of have enough common sense. I mean, if you're the mechanical type, and your car needs the brakes changed, and you know how to do that, you probably can do that without any issues. You've done it
Right.
before, so forth, and you can do that. However, when the issue comes is when, well, now the rotors need turning, or the master cylinder's leaking, or right.
Yeah.
And so
Okay.
so then we kind of like, okay, yeah, I really don't know how to do this at home. So I still try to fix it though. Why? But why? Why don't you go to somebody that really can help you with these bigger issues that are going to be longer term, a little bit deeper, than
Mhm.
just changing those brake pads. So what keeps people from coming to a counselor? Well, for many years, there's been so much stigma, as far as mental health, about coming to counselors, seeing psychologists, seeing a psychiatrist for medications. Um, that, I guess, by history, people just associate those things with being crazy, and in air quotes there,
Right.
because if you see somebody, you must be crazy.
Yeah.
You must really have some issues. Um, and so again, thinking back, as far as the mental health piece of history, if you had a nervous breakdown, again, we don't have the nervous breakdown diagnosis in our DSM, but back in the 60s and before, a lot of times these people would get locked up in asylums and stuff,
Hmm.
and so I don't want to come to counseling and get locked up. I don't want to come to
Right.
counseling and people think that I'm crazy. Um, a lot of times I've heard people say that they haven't come to counseling because they may have suicidal thoughts, and they don't want to be hospitalized. It's like, yeah, but let's talk about these suicidal thoughts. Why are you having them? Let's see if we can work on them. I'm not going to lock you up just because you didn't want to get out of bed this morning and just
And
wish
what
that
is
you could stay there.
what is a small inconvenience, although being hospitalized is not small, but in
Right.
comparison to keeping your life and straightening things out in the long run, it it really does seem sort of a small inconvenience. And I don't mean to minimalize that,
I
but
know.
sometimes we have to take a step back to take two steps forward.
Right. Um, I think again, if we look at the potential of being hospitalized, there is that link back to those asylums where I'm locked up forever. There's something really seriously wrong with me. You
Right.
know, um, a lot of people have jobs or positions to where if they are deemed as mentally unstable, they may, there's a potential for them to lose their jobs. I've worked a lot with military, and there is a lot of that. I've heard them say, well, military, our chain of command says, well, go get help. But then when they do, then they're frowned upon, or, have the potential to be discharged or something like that. So there's a lot of, we could say one thing, but then the actions may be something different from, like I
Yeah.
said, supervisors and stuff like that. So there's just that, or that mentality that there would be those differences or potential of losing a job or something.
But
Um,
isn't it fair to say that what we're talking about here specifically is a very, very, very small segment of the population?
yes,
So
yeah,
most
that.
people just have issues. Maybe they've had a life event,
Mhm.
maybe they've lost a job.
Right,
That can be a setback for sure. But,
right.
some of these type of setbacks that they just can't get it figured out, it's okay to kind of wave the white flag for just a short time and say, I need some help.
Right. My perception, when I tell people, I'm like, we all need somebody else to talk to. You know, um,
Right.
we are created to be relational beings. We need other people in our life. Unfortunately, sometimes the people in our lives may not hear us like we want to be heard. Um, they may, see our support system as being one-sided, or biased, I should say. Um, when and you and I kind of talked about this prior to the actual recording, when people come into my office, they come in, yeah, I've got the sofa and the chair in my office. I
Right.
really don't think I've had anybody come in and lay down on my my sofa, but I do have
Okay.
it.
Okay.
I think it's about being comfortable. I want you to come into my office and feel comfortable. A lot of times the first time you come in here, somebody comes in my office for first time, they're not they're hesitant, they're unsure what's going to happen. They've never seek counseling before, then they really don't know what to expect. So when they come in here and they sit down on a nice comfortable sofa, um I sit, and we just, hey, what's going on, what can I help you with, tell me, about, why you even came, what's bothering you.
Hmm.
And they're like, oh, that wasn't what I was expecting, and so
Okay. How
they
many
we
how many
just
times have you heard this answer? I don't know,
um
or it's hard to say.
not much, honestly.
Okay.
I what I normally hear, and it's like, where do you want me to start?
Okay.
That's what I hear. That's what I hear is, oh, where do you want me to start? I'm like, just put it anywhere you want to.
Okay.
If you want to start with, why did you pick up the phone and call us? You know, tell me about that. Or,
Okay.
if you want to just whatever. Who are you? What, your life, what do you do? Whatever. Tell me about your childhood. Just tell me your story. And so that kind of gives them, and it's again, just once they start talking, it's just whew, and they kind of just talk it, and talk about everything that's bothering them. I'm sitting here listening. I ask a question, to clarify, this or that. But, you know, one of the things that I have found out from doing this for so many years is we want our story told. And
Hmm.
once we talk it out and we tell our story, um, we're one of the great things about talking is once we talk to somebody and we say it out loud, we're not just saying it to them and they're saying something back to us, but we're hearing ourselves. And so we can
Right.
work out a lot of our own issues ourselves. And so
Yeah.
that's one of the great things about this. And then with as a counselor, I am unbiased. So you're not coming in here and I've already got you figured out, and yeah, you need to leave your husband, or you need to tell your boss. I'm going to do that. I'm listening to you, and I'm going to help you decide what you want to do.
Okay.
Um and just talking about this, we didn't talk about this previously, but just in thinking about this, this is something that has actually, today's what, Tuesday, but
Right.
this week already, in several of my sessions this week, or I guess yesterday, this topic has actually come up a lot of times. And that is, and I guess I've been thinking about it quite a bit, but we we come into counseling because something is going on in our life. We're not happy, or we're not satisfied with the way things are working out, or how we're feeling, or whatever. And so we come in and wanting to change something within ourselves, right?
Mhm.
Um, so we've got this, how do we change, or how do we find this ability to change the situation? Um, what has come up in my sessions yesterday, uh, I think in every session, was the fact that we change sometimes because our partner or someone in our life is saying that we need to change. So, for instance, say you have a married couple and they're having some issues. Well, I need to change because my spouse says that, if I don't do this, then we're going to split up. Or, the other one says, well, I need to change this because, this is what my spouse is fussing at me about. Um,
Okay.
However, if we are changing because someone is telling us that we need to, how effective is that? How long is that going to last? Because I can change my behaviors for a little bit to make someone be okay with me. But if I'm not truly changing, I'm just changing some behaviors just to make somebody happy for a little bit. Am I really doing it for the right purpose? Am I doing it for the right reason? And is it going to last?
Yeah, are you
So
doing it for them or for yourself?
exactly, exactly.
Okay.
And so that's the point. If I'm doing it for somebody else, then I'm not being true to myself, and it's not going
Okay.
to last. So what we want to look at in counseling is, do you want to change? Do you want to do better? Not for your spouse, but for you. I don't like arguing with my husband. So do I need to change him, or do I need to change something so he won't fuss at me? No,
Hmm.
I need to look at how I am perceiving the situations. I don't want to feel upset. So what do I need to do to not to not be that way, to not feel upset? What do I need to work on for me,
Okay.
not to change my spouse's behaviors? So I guess, coming in to counseling, and I see this a lot, is that's kind of what we talk about. It's like, okay, well, we can sit here and talk about your husband, in our sessions, and try to figure out what's going on with him and why he's being this way, or whatever. But what are you going to do about it? What do you want to do for you? You know, what how are you going to take what is going on with him? How are you going to cope with that? How are you going to take care of yourself? Um, got another client that I'm sitting here thinking about, and she's having issues with her baby's daddy. And it's kind of like, okay, you have to have him in your life the rest of your child's life, your life.
Hmm.
You don't get along, but you've got to put up with him. You got to deal with him. No way around that, right?
Yeah.
So what can you do? You can't change him. He's who he is, and you don't have to be with him. You don't have to live with him, but you do have to co-parent. You do have to get be together. So you don't want to be angry and frustrated and afraid every time he walks in the door. So what can you do for you? And then that, for her, it's going to be, trying to find the positives, trying to
Okay.
look at what he is doing right, trying to focus on those good things rather than, what he's doing wrong, who he is, and what kind of person he is. So
If you
does that?
use the word, I'm
Mhm,
sorry,
good.
go ahead.
No, go
No.
ahead. No, no, I was just gonna say, does that make sense? So
Yeah, it does make sense. I was going to go back to that word change we've used several times. What do
yes.
you say to the person who says, "I don't want to change," or "I don't need changing," or "I don't like the change"? I would throw out here as, of course, I'm not the counseling professional. You might not need change. You just may need to have someone help you talk through some issues and point out some things that they hear you say or they see you respond to in certain situations that we don't even realize what's going on.
Right. So, I guess I'm reminded of when I talk about change, I'm reminded of someone many years ago when I was somewhere else working, had a private practice elsewhere. Um, and this mother of this child came in and said, "Yes, you're recommended to us by a couple of people, or a couple of people told us about you, I guess." And she wouldn't tell me who they were, but one set of rec referral came positive. Yes, that we see her, we've seen her, yes, she's good. And then the other person who talked to her about me says, "No, we didn't, I don't like her, she just wanted me to change." And I'm like, "Hmm, okay." I'm like, "Well, I don't have you come in here and say, okay, what do you want to change about yourself? No, I
Right.
want to know what's going on with you. Do you want to change? Do you not? However, but however, if we change all the time, I guess. I hope we're changing. I hope we're
And if we
growing.
want to be a better person, that means we're going to have to change something.
Right. If you're not changing, you're not progressing. You're not growing. And I think that part of life is we are constantly growing. We're constantly working on ourselves.
Hmm.
We're a work in progress. So, we continue. I tell people that a lot. I still am. I'm not perfect. See the halo on my head. But I'm not perfect. And so I just am more advanced in understanding my behaviors and my thoughts, and do catch myself, and sometimes and say, yeah, I need to work on this. And it's okay for me to make a mistake in my marriage and have to go to my husband and say, hey, I'm sorry for this, and will you forgive me? Um,
I goofed.
but yeah, and I do that. I do it quite a bit, actually.
Yeah.
But that's just part of life.
Right.
But I am changing. You know, Fred, but for our viewers, Dwayne and I's story started back when I was 16 years old, and we dated back then. But then I broke his heart, and we went our separate ways, and so life brought us back together a few years back, and now we're together. What And he talks a lot about, well, if we had to stay together, way back then, look where we would be today and stuff like that. And I'm like, but I wasn't ready. Had we
Right.
stayed together back then and tried to get married and stayed married and whatever, I don't think we would have made it, because I had to do a lot of changing. I had to basically morph into who I am now to be
Okay.
able to get along with him, to understand what marriage is.
Are
I'm
you
not
trying to
saying
say
that
you
people
needed to grow up?
need to grow up. It took me a long time, almost 40 years, but that's okay.
I'm
Um,
with you.
Still working on it. So, but people can get married at that age, and I mean, his brother and sister-in-law, they did get married young like that, and they're awesome. They're amazing. But I just knew me well enough, thankfully, to know that I wasn't ready. I had a lot of work to do. I had a lot of change to do for me,
Okay.
to be able to be in a relationship and to be okay. So, when people come into my office, if you don't want to change, yes, you can come in here and talk about what's going on. And like you said, just for me to hear what they're saying and maybe point out what I'm hearing or whatever. What are you going to do with that information once I do? If I
Okay.
say, but this is what I hear you saying, and it's kind of contradictory to what you want, what are you going to do if I point that out? If and it's totally up to you. I'm not saying that you've got to change that behavior, but I'm pointing it out. So this is it. And you can take that and do what you want to with it.
Okay.
But if you want that, you know, fixed, you're gonna have to make some changes within yourself.
Okay.
You know,
So,
and go ahead. Go ahead.
well, I was just going to go back and
Mhm.
just remind people that this is really a conversation between two people, you and the counselor,
Mhm.
them and you.
Yep.
I would say, as an individual, I've sought a counselor in the past, not you, just to be clear. And I, yeah, yeah, it helped a lot. I was
Yep.
young,
Yep.
and I would say we were young, and I didn't know what to expect. I was nervous. I remember that. And I'm thinking back, I've actually seen a couple, and one I was really nervous. The first one, not so nervous. I think I might have been so naive I didn't know what to expect. But then later on, I was nervous. I got over the nervousness, and that is a common response. And it's okay to make the phone call. I think that's a fair statement. So go ahead.
I think that a lot of people just do not know how to go about it, how to ask for help. They're anxious about even making the phone call, or I mean, because we've talked about, you can call me, you can come by, you can email me, you can text me. I say me, but our new foundations at our office, and they just don't even know what to say. Well, hey,
Okay.
you've done it. You just reach out, say, hey, I need to make an appointment. Hey, I don't know what to do. I don't know what is the process. And I had somebody do that just recently. What is the process? So I spell it out. Just you've made the first step,
Okay.
by reaching out and saying, hey, I want some kind of help. So I go from there. Um, let's set you up an appointment to come in and talk to us. There's some forms that you have to sign, of course, consent forms and HIPAA forms. And, we decide, are you using insurance or are you paying on your own? You know, that sort of thing. Then we get you into a
Okay.
counselor and you just tell that counselor whatever you want to work with. Um, I will say that, and I've got other counselors working here with us. Um, and we all do things a little bit different. I have been doing this longer than I like to admit. Sometimes I think I did mention in our first time that it's been about 20 years, but I'm not your stereotypical counselor and you come in and you give me your history, your health history and your, all this and this and this and this and this. I don't do that handwritten assessment that a lot of new counselors will do. And there's
Okay.
nothing wrong with counselors doing that. We are working towards a electronic health record into where, our clients can go in and open their portal and do some of that
All
prior
right.
to them coming in. Um, because that is important information. It's just like I said, I've been kind of doing it long enough to know the questions and kind of interweave those as we go anyway,
Hmm.
and know what to listen for. Um, so there different counselors are, I guess is what my point is different counselors are going to have a different way of doing things. But I know
Okay.
for our office it is you come in and you have a conversation. you know what can we do to help you? What is it? Let's jump in here and I like to see, and I've experienced this before in other places, to where you can come in for your first session and it's like the assessment, and the person leaves and they still don't feel any better. They don't have any idea of what to do next or what to do before my next appointment. I like
Okay.
for people to come in and get something from that
Okay.
that very first time. I think that's really important. And when I say get something, um, like I said, if you can just come in and tell your story, a lot of times that is just like
A
dumping
relief.
that trash out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
And
having
let's
somebody.
throw this word confidential here too, because this is a confidential
Yes.
conversation.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, everything that happens in here is 100% confidential, with the exception, and I say 100% confidential, but then I throw in the exceptions. But of course, if you're suicidal or if you're homicidal, we have to get you help. We have if it's not something, and when I say suicidal, I mean you've got a plan, you've got an intent, you're going home to
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 do
commit
something.
suicide, to kill something
Yeah.
yourself. Yeah. So if that's the case, I've got to stop you. I've got to call for help. I've got to get you taken care of. Your safety is my number one priority.
Okay.
Um, Other people's safety is also my priority. So if you've got a plan to go kill somebody, um, and again, it is that I've got a plan, I've got an intent, I'm going to do this. I have to stop you. I have to warn the other person. I have to, get law enforcement involved. I do have to do that. That is my duty.
Okay.
Also, the other it would be abuse, children, elderly. If you're in an abusive relationship, or the child is being abused, sexually abused, or the elderly is being abused. Now, if you come in and tell me that you and your husband have been fighting, I don't have to report that. You know,
Right.
I can get you help if further than me if you want. And then, of course, we do have release of informations. So if we do need to talk to someone else, your primary care doctor, your school, or whatever, if there is that communication or somebody in your family that you want us to talk to, we get
Okay.
you to release that, give us permission to release that information to them.
Okay.
Otherwise, everything else is confidential. It's between me and the client. Mhm.
And it's fair to say that that otherwise is going to be what 99.99% of everything
Yes,
else that's going on here.
yes, yes,
So
yes.
someone needs to make the first step. They want to make the first step. What do they do? Where do they go? What is the number to call?
For New Foundations Family Services, we are located in Bainbridge, Georgia. We can see everyone in the state of Georgia. We are licensed in Georgia, the counselors here. So we can do virtual or telephonic, or in person if you're close enough to come in person. The number is 229-412-3452.
Okay.
Email is info, info, at New Foundations Inc. So that's INC, New Foundations, INC.com. So they can email us as well. They can text the number that I just gave, the 229-412-3452. Then our office is located at 305 South West Street in Bainbridge. So they can also come by to see us. If I'm also licensed in Florida, so I can see Florida clients myself. However, I'm not taking any new clients right now. So, um, that's kind of, we can do that, but we're not taking on any Florida clients at the moment. I mean, if Florida people were close enough to the Florida boundary that if there's someone that's in Florida that wants to come up from Florida, we can't see them in our office.
Okay.
So they make that call, that they just reach out, whether it's myself or our office staff, receiving the call. If we don't answer, leave a message or text or something, we'll call you back. Um, and get you, just kind of get a little bit of information, name, how to contact you, insurance or not, uh, just basic information, set up an appointment for you to come in or whatever we're going to do, whether it's via Zoom or telephonic. And we go that route. If I don't want to say I'm not a competitive person. I'm in this business to help people and help as many people as we possibly can. That's why we're doing these video sessions.
Hmm.
So I'm not saying everybody has to come to New Foundations. So, you can absolutely seek your counselor wherever you are. Um, Hopefully this will reach people in other states and across the United States, across the world, whatever. Um, I know for in the United States, we do have Today. Psychology Today has a database of counselors that have. If you look, if they're verified, then they are licensed in your state. You can get a verified licensed counselor from Psychology Today. I know that there are other platforms out there that have a listing of licensed counselors. You can go on there. You can see the counselors' profiles. See if that's something that someone that you think you can work with. But the biggest thing is just reaching out. You know,
Okay. Take the
um,
first step.
taking that first step. Um, it is easy. In my opinion, it's easy, because or at least we make it easy in our office. If you're looking at this video from somewhere else outside of Georgia or Florida, and you want help, go ahead and call us. I mean, if you're in another state, we'll help you, you
Okay.
know, find someone in your area that can see you, that can help you. There's so many opportunities out there now, and I know a lot of people don't know where to go to actually
Right.
find that. But I,
Yep.
you know, I know how to do that, so I can help you if you need help with doing that. So, just be sure to reach out. So that's the
Okay.
biggest thing. Yeah.
Once again, thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Fred. So,
We do this, online, and our offices are not the not in the same place, and
no,
that's why we do this split screen fashion, just so people will know. But
technology,
technology is a wonderful
technology,
thing.
when it works right.
It does, and our bottom line is we want to help people,
Yes,
and please, if you feel like you do need help, do not hesitate. Reach out, and you take the call first step, and we'll go beyond there and help you out
that's right.
in any way we possibly can.
That's right.
So until next time,
Right.
Dr. Sharon, we'll see you on the next video.
All right. Y'all take
And again,
care. Mm,
and again, I'm Fred Earls. I am the Director of Communications for New Foundations, and we are a nonprofit here in Bainbridge, Georgia. And it is our goal to help you and get better, help you work through some situations as we can. We're located in Bainbridge, Georgia. Until next time, you have a good week. Have a good day. Bye bye.
mm. Bye.